Sorry, I stopped using. What time is it? 6:59. All right. All right, so I'll get started so you guys can finally put a face with the man who's been sending you all these annoying emails. My name is Brian Linhart. I'm a counselor here at BG. I'm also kind of in charge of, with the counselors, we all get divided up into different sections. I'm kind of in charge with the freshmen along with Mrs. Hamilton. Today I'm going to be standing kind of towards the front because, like I said in the email, I am streaming this online too to parents who couldn't make it and to one of my bosses who's watching this as well, so I got to make sure he can hear me. But if you didn't, I left a piece of paper up here. You don't need them. That's just if you wanted to take some notes. But this is just something I started last year. I thought it was a good idea. It's kind of a freshman parent check-in. That's what I've been calling it. It's kind of a, hey, you guys have been at BG for 2 weeks. Your kids have been at BG for 2 weeks. Here's where we're at, okay? How many of you, this is your first kid at BG? Oh, wow. Well, welcome to the family. All right. Anyone not? You guys? All right. So we got one seasoned veteran. So anything I don't answer, they will answer everything for you. All right? So hope the first 2 weeks have been going smoothly. Can you guys hear me in the back? Do I need the mic? I have a microphone. No? Good. Okay, terrific. So we don't need the mic. So what today is, just so I can give you an overview, today isn't, and I said this in the email, not sure how many of you saw them, because you probably started seeing emails from Brian Linhart like, oh, another one. So today's kind of, you'll see it, it's phrased in ways that are saying, it's a general question, and I'm going to go into a topic. Today really isn't the day for specific individualized questions. Now, I'm going to have a time at the end for you to ask questions. But if it's really specific, really individual, I might suggest that you make an appointment with your son or daughter's counselor. Okay? So first thing is, if you want to rewatch this, and I have it on that sheet there, and it's in the email. If you ever want to rewatch this, if I said something that was really interesting, that's probably not going to happen. But if I said something that's really, something that you really wanted to revisit, this is the link. Right now, if you go to that link, I have it going right now, you'll see it, just my screen, you'll hear my voice, you'll have like a nice echo, it'll be kind of trippy. But if you wait till you get home, till tomorrow, this will just take you to YouTube, and you'll be able to listen to all this again. That, like I said, that's why I'm kind of staying closer. Usually I like to move. I hate, people that kind of stand at the front and talk at people, but I'm kind of tethered right now. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do, and you're going to see this in the lower right-hand corner of every slide as a reminder, you're also going to see on that sheet, is this is a place where you can go fill out a survey about tonight. Okay, and I am going to ask you to do that because I do look at them. Me and my boss, we look at them, and we kind of see, like I said, this is the second year we're doing this. Is it worth it? Is it something we should change? Last year I did it as a first quarter check-in. Feedback from most of the parents were, you know what, that's a little late. We would have liked something earlier. So that's why I'm doing it 2 weeks in. So I do take those to heart. Be honest, it's anonymous, so I'm not going to know who filled it out, but please let me know your honest opinion of how useful this was, if there was something I didn't cover, anything like that, okay? So those are the two websites I'd like you to know. Harper Promise. Have you guys heard about the Harper Promise? I'm sure you heard about it at registration. This is a pretty awesome program. Okay, it's a pretty awesome program. Basically what it is it's a way for your son or daughter to start their college career for free. Okay, so with the Harper Promise, it's called Last Money In. You guys know what that means? No, so what it means is Harper's going to see how much money you get from other scholarships, and then whatever the difference is, they cover. That's basically what last money in means. And it's going to provide an education for your son or daughter for 2 years. Now, they're not just going to give them that money. Your son or daughter has to earn it. Okay, they have to do different things. It starts with your kid's second semester. It's attendance, it's community service, and it's grades. Okay, so as long as they meet those criteria, they stay in the program. Each year, your son or daughter, if they sign up for it, will get an email, and they have to, I guess they're calling it recommit. Basically just a simple, it's something that goes to their Infinite Campus inbox. They click, yes, I want to be in the program. Now, this is the second year of the program, so there's still some growing pains. When it comes to the absences, I want to stress this. It's total absences. So I believe for freshman year, it's 5 absences, second semester. It's 5 total absences. You call your son or daughter out, even if, let's say, you're going on a college visit, chances are that's going to count against them. Okay? There is an appeals process. Okay? There is an appeals process to where if you get to next year and you feel like there's an extenuating circumstances, you can go through this appeals process and you can, have it, your decision, I guess you call it, overturned. But for the most part, they are being pretty strict. They just want to, and the way to think about it is it's a free education, so it's a high standard. Even if you think your son or daughter 100% is not going to Harper, I recommend you sign up for this program for a couple different reasons. Okay, number one, you can't predict the future. Okay? God forbid nothing happens. God forbid, from now until the time they're supposed to go off to college, which is, less than 1,600 days away, which is kind of crazy to think about, I know. You can't predict the future, so they might want to go to Harper. They might start off their career at Harper. Your son or daughter might choose a career that Harper is a great place for them to go. Maybe it's a program that doesn't need a 4-year education. Okay? The other thing is, even if you talk to your son or daughter, you have a discussion, you're like, what, there is no way, they say, there's no way I'm going to Harper. The standards that the Harper Promise is going to hold your son or daughter to are going to look great no matter where they're applying. Okay? You get a kid filling out a college application, graduating from a D214 school, having a lot of community service, having great attendance, having good grades, that's going to give them a competitive advantage to students who aren't doing it. So my recommendation is that no matter what, you sign up for it. All it does is take about 5 minutes. That's all it takes out of your time. Your son or daughter, they got to put in a little bit more time. If you're thinking about it now, you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't sign up at registration. Wish I would have. During their advisory, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, they're going to have another opportunity. Okay? So they're going to have plenty of opportunities to sign up for this program. All right? Students are responsible for keeping track of service hours, and they turn in their sheet to student services once they're done. Student services is right across the hall. That's where your son or daughter can find their counselor, speech pathologist, school psychologist, career advisor, nurse. Anything they need is over there. Doesn't start till second semester, so don't send them going out now. And a lot of people have been asking us, what counts as community service? Does this count? Does that count? We're under the impression if someone is willing to sign off, if an adult is willing to sign off and say, yes, this person did this, it counts as community service. So take that with what you will, okay? So that's the Harper Promise program. Any questions on that? Yeah. Do you have to go 2 years to Harper? My understanding is it's up to 2 years. I could be wrong. The question was, those of you that didn't hear, do they have to go the full 2 years to take advantage of it? My understanding is that this is up to a 2-year scholarship. I'm not sure if they only go for a year. If they have to repay that, I'd be surprised if they did, but that's something we could look into. I would, if you're interested in that, concerned about that, email your son or daughter's counselor, or if you go on the Harper Promise, Google Harper Promise, they'll have some contact information there. Okay? Yeah. Say that again? The Harper Promise stuff that you need to sign. Yeah. The website? Is that on the website? I believe it is. I believe it's online. If not, if they come down, student services, they could see it. Okay. If you guys have any questions on any of the slides, just shout at me. Okay, just shout at me your question and we'll get to it, okay? So are we good with the Harper Promise? Any other questions? Yeah. That is something you can appeal, yes. So like we've had students that missed a bunch of days because of a surgery. Like I said, so the thing with the Harper Promise, and he asked, do medical leaves count? The thing with the Harper Promise is that it really is the Harper Promise. It's not the D214 Promise. It's not the BG Promise. So we really, for lack of a better term, we're the record keepers. Okay? We, once you sign off your son or daughter, we, provide their attendance information. We provide their community service information. We provide their GPA. Decisions aren't really up to us. So that's why I've told my students, pretend, my sophomores this year, I've said, assume you're in the program until someone tells you you're not. Okay, so even if you have 6 absences, even if you miss community service for a certain reason, assume you're in the program until you're told you're not. Okay? That's a good question. All right, so like I said, the way the rest of this presentation kind of works is I'm just going to have a common question, and then I'm going to talk about what that's leading into. So I'm hoping my kid goes to college, and I've heard that all that matters is junior year grades. Is that true? So this is for those of you who your son or daughter is planning on continuing their education. One thing I do want to say is that you're going to hear us say now and over the next 4 years the word college a lot, just because it's easier to say college than two-year college, 4-year university, trade school, community college, military service. Like that's a mouthful. So we just say college to encompass it all. So basically, if your son or daughter is planning on continuing their education past BG, schools look at a lot of things. If any of you have had a son or daughter that have gone through the process, some of you might remember going through the process. It's really not just grades, GPA. They're looking for the whole student. The reason being is that when a person goes to a college, they're forever associated with that college, and they're kind of a spokesperson for that college. So I went to Illinois State. Whenever I tell people I went to Illinois State, they have an opinion of me. Then all of a sudden they automatically have an opinion of people who went to Illinois State. So schools are really looking for well-rounded individuals. Our college counselor, Mrs. Fox, she has a great saying. She likes to say, the first 3 years of school gets you into college. The last year of high school keeps you there. Okay? So a lot of times students are under this impression of only my junior year grades count. That's not true. We've talked to a lot of college admissions counselors. They like seeing, what are they doing over 4 years? Are they challenging themselves academically? Are they starting off in Spanish 1 and seeing it all the way through? If they take Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and they stop it, what are they replacing it? So one thing you need to emphasize to your son or daughter is that all 4 years of school count. Okay? It's not just the last 2 years. And senior year counts too. We've all heard about senioritis. Some schools want 7th semester grades. It would be a shame if, they kind of pull back a little bit and, their admissions gets revoked. So school is important, but it's also about finding that happy middle ground. Okay? Not all students are really supposed to be taking 6 AP classes, waiving their lunch period, and just swamped with homework every night. There's kind of that happy balance of figuring out, what they want to do with their career, where they're planning on going to college, and what classes they should be taking. So all 4 years of high school do matter. What is freshman advisory, and who are these BAMs my son or daughter is talking about? So freshman advisory, I'm not sure if you've heard about it or not. Freshman advisory is a 20-minute class that's 2 days a week, required by all freshmen. All right? Kids love giving up their lunch period, let me tell you, right? So sometimes it's an uphill battle, but I do a check-in every year, and this is my 4th year at the school. The past 3 years, I've always been in charge of the freshman advisory. We've always had I'd say over 80% of the freshman students that when they check in either say they really like advisory or they're okay with it. They might complain about it, but not too many really hate it. What it is it's 20 minutes a day, 2 days a week. So they either have it Monday and Wednesday or they have it Tuesday and Friday. Okay? If you look at your son or daughter's schedule where it says advisory, it'll say their advisory teacher's name, and then it'll say an MW, or it'll say a TF, don't Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday. After that are some more letters that just kind of coincides with their counselor. The point of this program is to help kids transition from 8th grade to BG. Because BG is a pretty big school. You know, the school I worked at before here, it was a school of 900 students. It was Elmwood Park High School, about 10 minutes outside the city. I came here to a school of 2,000. It was really intimidating for me, and I'm old, right? So to a 14-year-old kid, like walking into this school can be a lot to handle. So that's the point of this program. Like right now, I don't know if they've been telling you about it, we're doing webinars of all the clubs and sports in the school. You know, we're doing a live stream to each advisory, and they're learning about every club and every sport that's offered here in BG. We encourage our students to get involved because, you know, I don't gotta beat that horse, but as we know, studies show the more involved the student is, the higher the grades are. So we do that. We pass along a lot of information. You know, homecoming's coming up in a couple weeks. Some of your kids might not even know what homecoming is, so we'll talk about that. The other cool thing is, you see this picture right there. These are the BAMs, okay? That stands for Bison Advisory Mentor. They're sophomores, juniors, and seniors who go through a pretty rigorous application process. Only, you know, over 130 kids applied, only about 55 got it. And God bless you. And so they're responsible for delivering the lessons, okay? What else is cool is they also do a mentoring program. It hasn't started yet. It's going to start in a couple weeks. But what's going to happen is, hypothetically, let's say there's an advisory class of 24 kids. In that advisory, there's going to be about 3 BAMs. Each BAM will be paired up with about 8 kids, if my math is correct. And what they're going to do is that's going to kind of be someone older in the school that's just going to check in with them once a week. It could be a, hey, how's it going? It could be a text, hey, everything going all right? It could be a, hey, homecoming's coming up this week. What do you know about it? You getting a dress? Are you going? Do you know what a boutonniere is? Things like that. Sometimes they're guided. A lot of times it's just, hey, you know what? This is an older person that you can check in with. Okay? And I've found that's pretty helpful because, you know, I know this isn't breaking news, but sometimes kids don't always tell adults everything. They're more likely to tell kids their own age, you know, things that are bugging them or things they're dealing with. So advisory's been going on for a while. This mentoring piece is pretty new. We've seen a lot of success with it. So or the second day of the week. Okay, so one day of the week is a lesson. So hypothetically, let's say your son or daughter has advisory Monday, Wednesday. Once we get into it, right now it's kind of weird for we're learning about all these clubs. Monday will be a lesson. So it'll be something about getting organized. It'll be something about internet safety. It'll be something about, I don't know, how to get a worker's permit, things like that. Second day of the week is a study hall. It's also what's called progress monitoring. What's going to happen is the adult teacher that's in the room is going to call every kid up that day. And I send them our DNF list. They look, see if your son or daughter is on it. If they aren't, they're going to say, everything going all right? They say, yeah, everything's going good. Terrific. If something's wrong, if they're struggling with the class, they're going to reach out to the counselor. We're going to figure out how to help them. Okay? So this is good because they're getting a study hall. Some of your kids probably don't have a study hall. And they're also having an extra set of eyes kind of checking in on them, saying, how are things going? You need help with anything. Okay? So that's advisory. Any questions about advisory? Yeah. DNF list is just what it sounds like. It's a list of all the students in school that are going to be in or not. Okay? The counselors, we get that once a week, and we go through it. Usually, you know, each counselor is a little different. I would say once a kid's on there, 3 weeks in a row, you know, because 1 week it could be a fluke. Could be, you know what, I didn't turn in an assignment, teacher didn't put in a grade, something like that. You know, usually with my caseload, I have about 300 students I'm responsible for. If they're on it for 2 to 3 weeks, I'll call them down. Hey, what's going on with this class? So with advisory, like I said, it's just, you know, teacher's going to see what's going on. Do you need extra help in this class? What kind of support can we provide for you? Okay? Any other questions? And we're going to talk about support too in a little bit. Here we go. My kid got placed in lit lunch. What is that? Your son or daughter is going to be talking about this soon. So going back to the DNF list. If starting, I think it was either this week or it might be next week. I'm not sure. If this is part of our school's RTI process. Sometimes you hear there's a lot of buzzwords in education. RTI just means respond to intervention. So this is one of our processes to respond to students, to help interview, right? If a student is failing a class, so this is, we get the DNF list, but this is just Fs. If a student's getting an F for 2 weeks or more, they're going to be put what's called lit lunch. Many of you guys heard about the literacy lab here? No? Literacy lab, to really simplify, and I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys tonight. If I'm ever going too fast or I ever need to slow down or explain something, like I said, just shout it, okay? The literacy lab, for lack of a better term, is a student-run tutoring center. It's all open all periods of the day, before and after school. There are teachers there too, so each period there's usually a math and English and science teacher down there. Sometimes there's, it depends on the period, there's different makeup, but it's a place to get extra support. So this lit lunch is kind of a part of that. What it is if your son or daughter is on they have an F in the class for 2 straight weeks, they're going to be put in this lit lunch. 2 days a week, they have advisory. Thursdays are short periods, like today, because we have meetings in the morning. So Thursdays, we don't touch their lunch at all, because it's already short. But the other 2 days of the week, they're going to have to go to this. And what this is it's kind of like a check-in with the teacher. It's at the lit lab. Okay, you're failing math. What do you need help in? What are you struggling with? And to try to get them on the right track. They're in there for 4 weeks. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They could have an F. The next week they got a D. They're still in there for another 3 weeks. Okay? If after 4 weeks they're still getting an F in that class, they do another 4 weeks. This process keeps repeating until they pull their grades up. So a lot of success with this. Okay? So if you hear your son or daughter is in the DNF, is in a lit lunch, that's what this is. Okay? This aligns with our district's goal of trying to lower D's and F's within our buildings. Okay? So what do we got now? How do I check my son's grades or assignments? So how many of you don't gotta raise your hand, but your kid has come home. What do you have for homework? Nothing. Right? Probably might be the case. Probably not. Okay? So I'm gonna give you a little insider secret that your kids aren't gonna like, but you guys will like me, so that's all that matters, right? So Infinite Campus. Infinite Campus is our school's student record keeping program. Okay, this is what the council, I use this a lot. I use this to see the grades students are getting. I use this to see their schedule. I use this to fix their schedule. I use this to look at unofficial transcripts, make sure they're graduating on time, things like that. You can have access to this, okay? You set up a parent account. If you haven't done it yet, you're gonna wanna call this number, 847-718-6565. I'm gonna give you guys a second to either write this down, put it in your phone, whatever you wanna do, in case you don't have this set up, all right? This is a great way to stay on top of things. You can always see your kids' schedule. You can see, it's a lot of stuff in here, okay? This is a really good resource. So Infinite Campus is one thing. Here's how you get to Infinite Campus. If you're at the BG website, you click on Menu, okay? Then you click on Quick Links, and then you go to Infinite Campus Student and Parent Portal, okay? So you go to BG's website. If you Google BG, Quick Links, or Menu, Quick Links, Infinite Campus, it's right there, okay? The other thing some of you have probably heard about is called Schoology. Have you guys heard that word, Schoology? If you ever open up a Schoology, those of you that have a Facebook account, it looks a lot like Facebook, but it's just for school. Most of the teachers here have put all their stuff on Schoology. Okay? Most of the teachers here, they'll put all the assignments, they'll collect assignments there, they'll put a calendar out there, all that stuff. What you could do is you can go to this tinyurl.com/Schoologyparent login. You can put your information, and you can enter your child's Schoology code, and you can see every class they're in. How do you get your child's code? What you need to do is you need to get that code from one of your students' teachers. Okay? If the teacher has set up a Schoology account, you ask them for the parent code. Here's when you're really going to like it. The counselors have a Schoology page. Every student, with a couple outliers here and there, are in Schoology. You get the Schoology code from me, from my class. You have access to all of your son or daughter's Schoology classes at BG. That's what's in these binders, is every student's code. So before you leave today, if you haven't set up access yet, I have one binder here, I have one binder over there, I have one binder over there. They're all the same. You'll find your son or daughter's name. You'll see a bunch of letters next to it. This is their code. If you sign up for Schoology and you enter this code, you'll not only have access to the counselor's page, but you'll have access to every class your son or daughter's in. So if they ever say, I don't have homework, or I don't know where to get this, you can call them out on it, okay? You're welcome. You want to be on your good side, right? Now, this hasn't, students from last year haven't been removed from this yet, so if you had a senior that graduated last year, you're going to still see their name in there. Like I said, just about all the freshmen have signed up through advisory. If they haven't, we have our freshman core in a couple weeks. We'll tell you what core is in a little bit. We'll kind of sweep it up and miss any of the kids we don't have, okay? So make sure you hit this binder up before you leave. Any questions about Schoology or Infinite Campus? You guys still with me? Good. All right, I need your water. Sports. Some of you might have a son or daughter playing football. You might have a son playing soccer. You might have a son or daughter cheerleading. You might have a daughter in tennis. You might have a daughter in swimming and diving. You might have a daughter in, I said tennis already. I don't want to leave anybody out. You might have a son or daughter in cross country. Did I miss any sports? Okay, if you don't, you might be thinking, hey, you know what? It'd be great if my kid got involved in sports. Well, we offer a variety of sports over 3 seasons. There's 3 seasons. There is fall, there's winter, there's spring. Fall and winter are up here. Spring's going to be on the next slide. Okay? I recommend your son or daughter definitely consider doing a sport. It is a big commitment, but what's nice compared to a club, clubs are great too, they're learning about those right now, is that it gets them out of the school, it kind of gets them into other schools. It gets them, what I like about sports, the cool thing I like about sports is that it gets, you're representing the school. Okay, you're representing the school. So we have our fall sports right now. We have our winter sports coming up. Winter sports, cheerleading, you're going to see that up there, and competitive dance, which is POMS. They're clubs right now. They turned into sports in the winter season. Boys basketball, boys swimming and diving, boys wrestling, girls basketball, girls bowling, girls gymnastics. What's awesome, and then, can I go on the next one, or does anyone need to see one more from here? Okay, and then here are the spring sports. What's awesome about the athletic programs here is that in every season, there's at least one sport that doesn't cut freshmen. Okay? I'm not going to lie to you and say every sport doesn't cut freshmen, because that's not the case. A lot of times, there's more student athletes that want to participate than there's spots for them. Okay? But every season has at least one sport that your son or daughter can participate in and know they're going to be on the team. Okay? And it's awesome being on a team. Those of you that played sports, it's a great feeling putting on that uniform, you know, meeting new people, you know, representing your school. It's great. So if your son or daughter is interested in playing sports, if she is a she, you could reach out to Mr. Myers. He's a social science teacher. He's also our head girls golf coach. That's his contact information right there. Or you can reach, if you have a son, you can reach out to Mr. North. And this is his contact information here. Any questions about sports? No? Beautiful. Okay. And then kind of piggybacking on that, clubs. What if there's a club here my son or daughter wants to do? If you go to BG website, click menu, click co-curricular, click activities. All of the clubs we offer here are listed. Mr. Schetzline, he is our assistant principal in charge of student activities. He would be a person to contact if you have a question about a club, if you need more information. Do know, like I said, I think we have one more, I think next week we have 1 day, but since school started till now, your son or daughter is learning about, I'd say 80% of the clubs and sports here. Some clubs and sports didn't want to participate or didn't have information. Some of the fall sports didn't participate because they've already set their teams. But your son or daughter has gotten a wealth of information about the majority, of the clubs and sports offered here at BG. So they know what they are, they know what they do in them, and they know who to contact. So you can talk to them if you have any questions or you're trying to get them involved. One thing I'm going to ask from a counselor's perspective. I've had a couple parents kind of email me, say, hey, my son's not really, doing much. He's having a tough time making friends. Can you get him in a club? Okay. I need some more specifics. So if you go that route, let the counselor know what they're interested in. He loves his video games. He loves, we have a tabletop and we have a games club. He loves, Minecraft. Believe it or not, we have a Minecraft club here. He yells at me a lot. We have a debate team here, right? So there's something for everyone. Probably the easiest one, and I think they're all great. They all serve different purposes. We have a couple community service clubs. We have a couple clubs that celebrate different ethnicities. We have what other clubs are we thinking of? We have a lot of clubs. It's tough to narrow it down. But probably the easiest club to kind of put in students' faces or that they know about is our Blue Crew. That's our school spirit club. They're in charge of kind of, the BG Pride. They meet when the teachers have meetings on Thursdays, they meet here on Thursdays. That's probably the easiest club for your son or daughter to get involved with. They just got to come to school a little bit earlier on a Thursday, meet here, ton of people in it. That would be a great way to kind of get their foot in the door and to meet people. So that's something, consider that club. All right, any questions about clubs? Yeah.
Is the newspaper a club or is that a class?
Is the newspaper a club or a class? It's both, right? So it's on their schedule. It's called journalism, and depending on the year, so like if they go all 4 years, freshman year would be 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. But I do know the charger, the teacher, Mrs. McClish, as well as the yearbook teacher, Mr. Branham. They're pretty flexible. So let's say they want to get in it, but they can't do it the whole year. They can only do it a semester. I have yet to find a situation. There might be situations, let me use that as a disclaimer. I've yet to find a situation where they're like, no, they can't do it. They kind of welcome everyone, want to get them in it. But yeah, it is something that's scheduled during the day. I know yearbook's 8th period this year. I don't know when charger is. I want to say it's like 6th or 7th period, but I'm not 100% sure. So, all right, that's a good question. Same thing with our fine arts. Okay, if your son or daughter's in band, that's a 4th period class. Orchestra. Anyone's son or daughter in orchestra? Is it 5th period? It is. It's that too. Okay. Yeah, there's so much. I have to have my my infinite campus in front of me to know what's what. But yeah. Okay. Good questions. All right. We think my daughter should drop her Spanish class. How do we do that and are there consequences? So this is a main reason why parents wanted me to have this meeting early. This week has been the week for kids to drop a class. Okay? District policy is that they want to drop a class, they need to talk to their teacher. Okay? Teachers don't get offended. You got to emphasize that to your son or daughter if they're thinking about dropping a class. And get what's called a drop form from the division head. Teacher signs it, div head signs it, then the counselor signs it, and we fix it in their schedule. Students can only drop for a study hall. Okay? They cannot say, you know what, I don't want to do this class anymore, I want to do another class. Okay? A bunch of different reasons behind that. It comes from the place we are in the quarter, it comes from the staffing, and it also comes from the fact that these schedules were made a while ago. And so that's why you get course verifiers, we confirm things. So right now, if your son or daughter wants to drop a class, I would say tomorrow they need to talk to their teacher if they haven't already, and get that drop form, okay? If they have a study hall on their schedule, they can't drop the class because you can only have one study hall per semester. If they decide to drop the class starting next week, because Monday is the 15th day of school, on their transcript, they'll get what's called a W. W stands for withdrawal. Withdrawal is on their transcript, but it does not affect their GPA. Okay, so it's just a W, it's just on their transcript. However, if we get to the 30th day of school, and then they decide to drop a class, they get what's called a WF. That's a withdrawal failure. That goes on their transcript, and that's the equivalent of getting an F in a class. Okay? So, I would say if your son or daughter is thinking about dropping a class and they don't have a study hall, talk to their teacher tomorrow. Get the process going tomorrow. Okay? If they've talked to their teacher before the 15th day, they get the drop form, but they can't get signatures and it turned in until next week. Usually we can have some flexibility if we see it's dated back. Okay? But after that, they got that W on their transcript. It doesn't affect their GPA, but I'll be honest, it isn't the best looking thing to have that W. Okay? So that's with dropping a class. As far as registering for classes, we're going to be doing that pretty soon in the next probably month or so with the freshmen. We're going to do it before winter break. So I lied, probably in like December. So they'll have plenty of time to think about what classes they want to take until it's locked in. Okay? So don't worry about that. So AP, what do we do if our son or daughter is in a class that we feel is too challenging for them? Okay? So we got a picture of the division heads here. That cartoon is Miss Procup. She started last year, so I didn't have a photo for her for the previous year. And then when we took school photos this year, she was out on a maternity leave, so I don't have a school photo for her. But that's kind of what she looks like. She has brown hair. She's worn a purple shirt once, okay? So, but basically, this is a decision between the teacher, the student, the family, and the division head, okay? A lot of times, families and students think this is something that we do. This is something counselors can't do. This is something where we find out the information and then we make it fit in the schedule, okay? Anytime your son or daughter is having a problem with the class, first thing they need to do is talk to the teacher, okay? There might be a little loss in translation, loss of communication in there, okay? They can come and talk to us, but if I'm your son's counselor, he comes up to me and saying, AP Human Geo is just really stressing me out, okay. What about it? Like, if he needs we could talk through some things, that's my job, but I'm not in the class. I don't know what they're covering. I don't even know how many years it's been since I've taken human geography, all right? So they need to have that conversation with the teacher. If the teacher feels like, yeah, you know what, it's a little much for this kid, and they'll talk to the division head and they can do what's called a level change. We can move them down. However, before you do a level change, there are some consequences. Transcript's going to look different, things like that. My advice, so usually what it comes down to, how do I know if my son or daughter is in the wrong level? A lot of times what happens is, for lack of a better term, kids get a little shell-shocked when they come to high school. They got through middle school, they got A's, they didn't really study much. Homework, did sometimes, okay? They just crushed it straight in. But they come to high school, they realize, I got to put in a little bit of work, okay? In talking with the division heads, generally their thought is, if we have a student who is getting extra help, who's coming before or after school, who's talking with the teacher, who's turning in all their homework, who's going to the lit lab, and they're struggling to get a C, and they're in an accelerated class, might not be the best class, okay? But if they're getting that C and they're turning in some of their homework, they're not getting extra help, they're not talking with the teacher, they might just be a C student in that class, All of us have our strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes, your son or daughter's starting to learn that now. Sometimes we got to put a little extra work. The thing they like to emphasize is that they can't change. They're not going to change a class just so, for lack of a better term, their transcript looks prettier when they apply to college. Okay? This is it's an educational institution. We're here to help our students learn. We're here to challenge them academically. For some of them, you know what? A C might be challenging them academically. If kids get a C, that's not failing. It's passing. You know, some students, you know, as tough as it is a pill to swallow, when they get to high school, they might just be a C student in some subjects. Okay? So if you feel like they're in the wrong level, everything always starts with the teacher. Okay? If you jump over the teacher and go straight to the div head or go straight to one of the principals, you're just prolonging the process, to be honest with you. Because you're going to reach out to them. First thing they're going to do is talk to the teacher. So if you have any concerns, reach out to the teacher. Probably the best way to do that is to email them. Teachers aren't always by their phones. They're not always at their desk. Shoot them an email. Give them a day to respond. A lot of teachers are busy. They have, you know, 4 different classes they're teaching. They might have a club they sponsor. They might have another student they're working with. They might be coaching a sport. They might have a life outside the school, right? So always start with the teacher, and then go. You know, if you reach out to the teacher, you still not seeing eye to eye, or you're not thinking that's the you know, best solution is coming about right now, that's when you want to reach out to one of these people. And what's nice is that all these people do teach here as well. They're not just division heads. All right. So what happens if your son or daughter wants a teacher change? It's our district policy that we don't change teachers. Okay. I don't like this teacher. You know, you're not going to like everyone in life. That's kind of what it comes down to. If your son or daughter goes to college, they're not going to like every professor they have. They're going to have to kind of learn to adapt. You know, we all, I'm sure, work with people that we don't necessarily want to invite over after work, right? So it's a district policy, and behind that is, you know, we have a lot of pride in our school in that we have a great collection of teachers, a great selection or a collection of support staff, administrators, everyone that's all working on the same page to help your student get from point A to point B, get from where they're at now to where they want to be. So all teachers are well qualified, and many of the teachers here have their master's degree and are continuing their education in one form or another. And what's nice about the teachers is that they collaborate in their PLCs. Those are the meetings we have on Thursday late starts. So they pretty much all have the same goal, the same curriculum. Okay. Now there are special circumstances. If you believe there is an extreme special circumstance, that's when you want to reach out to your son or daughter's counselor or the division head and explain your situation. Okay. To be honest, that really doesn't happen here. We haven't really had any circumstances to where it's so extreme that we need to change the teacher immediately. But I do want you to feel validated and heard that if you feel like there is a special circumstance, reach out, let them know. But that's our district's policy, so we're kind of bound by the policy. Does anyone have any questions on this? Thank you. I didn't want to have to explain that more. I kind of talked about this. Talk to the teacher first. Okay, give the teacher the benefit of the doubt. Just like if hypothetically, if a teacher was having a problem with your son or daughter, they're going to talk to them first. They're not going to go behind their back. They're going to talk to them, try to figure out what's going on. And if that's not working, then they would call you. Same instance here. If you think something's going on with the teacher, give them the courtesy of reaching out to them. Hey, I think something's going on. Can we talk? And then if that isn't resolved, reach out to the div head. Promise if you call Miss Prokop, you'll get a person, not a cartoon. Okay? Job. Okay? Hopefully your kids are planning on trying to help you guys around the house, right? Make some money. Workers permit, if your son or daughter is old enough to get a workers permit. In my opinion, the workers permit process is kind of backwards. I would think, I want a job, I get a workers permit, then I go get a job. That's not how it works. If your son or daughter wants a workers permit, they got to get the job first. Have something in writing that says, yes, I'm hiring this person, and then come get the workers permit. Okay, and all places of employment. Okay, so they think they're gonna get a job, get a letter, come to the College and Career Center, which is right behind you guys. It's Student Services is here, College and Career Center is connected to it. It's behind the wall with all the faces of the teachers, and then they get a worker's permit. If they do it over the summer, go to the main office. Okay? Questions about worker's permits? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I knew someone was going to ask me that. God bless it. You know, can you email me? Because I'll send that to you. We do a lesson with the freshmen going over how to get a worker's permit. We usually do that towards the end of the year because, you know, right now, a lot of them aren't old enough to get a job, and a lot of them get used to high school. They're not really expected to get a job. But as we get closer to the summer, we do go over that. I want to say it's 24 hours during the weekdays. So like no more. So how does that 24 divided by 4? So 6. That's not right. That's not right. So ignore that. Just email me. I have that information. Okay. You could Google it too. Simple Google will let you know. Yeah.
If they're working already, they can't really stuff in a letter.
According to the state of Illinois, anyone under, I think, 16 has to have a worker's permit.
I'm saying he's working already with a worker's permit right now.
Yeah, does he doesn't have to get another. If he has a worker's permit, you can.
I thought you guys do that yearly now.
I don't think so. Does anyone have an older son or daughter? That's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure. I don't think you have to do it yearly, but that's something, like I said, Google it. Yeah, I don't want to give you misinformation. Yeah.
So if they have a job, they might have something, chances are.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's something that's like paying them cash and we don't know about it. Yeah.
Is it age 14 or 15?
I think it's 15. I think it's 15 to start working, and then I think once they hit 16, the hours change. If they have a real question about it, send them to their counselor, you know, and we can figure this out. Counselors. So what are counselors, right? Not Illinois. There aren't too many places where middle schools have a counselor that works with their son or daughter. So these are all the counselors. We wear a lot of different hats here. So a lot of the things, and the thing about a counselor is that we're different for every student. I have students who I see once a week because we got to talk. And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, I have students where I only see them in core, I only see them to pick their classes each year, and I only see them to help them with their college application senior year. So I might see them, 2, 3, 6, 9, I might see them 11 times their entire, at graduation, because counselors work graduation. I might see them 12 times their entire high school tenure. Okay? Not too many of those, to be honest with you, but just to kind of let you know, counselors, we do a wide variety of things. You know, so we answer questions, we help problem solve, assist in choosing classes, explore career pathways. We'll go over that in a second. Deal with social and emotional issues, consult with teachers and parents. So we're basically, you know, one way to think about it is we're their best adult friend in the building, right? If they have something going on and they don't know who to go to, come to the counselor, okay? Now here's the thing about counselors that sometimes we get mixed emotions on. Unless a student says they're going to hurt themselves, someone else, someone's trying to hurt them, counselors and all other student service employees are bound by confidentiality. So what that means is your son or daughter can come in my office and I can't tell you what they told me. Okay? Unless it's one of those big 3 things, and they're grades. Obviously you have a right to know. But just so you know, your son or daughter comes, if they say, yeah, I went to talk to my counselor today, and they don't want to tell you what they talked about, if you call us, we can't really tell you what they talked about because we are bound by confidentiality, unless it's one of those big 3. Okay, now sometimes we might be able to give you a sense of what's going on. Sometimes I'll ask my students, hey, are you okay if I let your parents know that we talked today and kind of have a general idea of what they talked about? Most of the time they're okay, sometimes they're not, and that's their right. Okay, because the reason that is that we want to create a safe place where your son or daughter feels comfortable coming in and having someone to talk to. Sometimes we all just need to vent. Okay, I've had some students that just come in, they're like, I know this isn't going to fix anything, I just got to get this off my chest. And oof, it all comes out, and then afterwards they feel better. Okay? And you can tell their body language changes, their shoulders are kind of relaxed as opposed to, feeling hunched over, feeling like they're carrying the weight of the world. So keep that in mind when it comes to counselors and school psychs and anyone with Down syndrome services. Okay? But a lot of times, I personally, and I know a lot of other counselors, we encourage students to talk to their parents if something's going on that is a big deal and we feel like you can help. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about this? All right. Core curriculum. So I talked about core. I need another drink of water. I'm sorry. If you need a bathroom break, by all means, men's is over there, women's is over there outside. So just get up and go. Okay. So core curriculum. This is the best way to describe this is these are the classroom lessons that the counselors do with your son or daughter. We follow kind of a path. So this year, kind of the running theme is kind of the transition into high school. All right, so we're going to be meeting with your son or daughter towards the end of this month. We're going to be going over a lot of the stuff that we're talking about with you, a lot of new stuff. If you're coming to the parent meeting Tuesday morning, the 23rd, 27th, thank you. What we're going to do is myself and Ms. Hamilton are going to show you the exact information we're going to show your son or daughter. The other counselors will be here, so do recommend if you can make that, you do. Please keep in mind that all of these meetings are just to help you guys out. Don't feel like they're mandatory. You can't make them, right? But you can see we start off freshman year with how to be successful in BG, and we kind of progress into senior year about life after BG. Okay, so then sophomore year, they're going to start learning about themselves. They're going to start learning about what's my learning style, what's the best way that I learn. Am I a person that needs a quiet environment? Am I a person that needs a louder environment? Am I a person that likes it hot and likes it cold? Am I visual? Am I kinesthetic? Things like that. Then junior year, we're going to start looking at, okay, hey, in your career interest profiler, this is what you said you want to do. This is how you get there. These are either colleges or trade schools that offer this. What do we need to do so that hopefully by the time we get to senior year, they have a general idea of what they want to do, where they want to go, and we can get the process going. Okay? Any questions about core? Core is twice a year. Okay? Each year it's a different subject. This year, I think we're doing it in, I don't know. So each year we try to, so like seniors, we'll pull them out of English for one period because every senior has to take an English class. Juniors, we haven't done juniors yet, but juniors we might do, their math class because every junior has to take math, something like that, okay? And then career pathways. A lot of you, probably been hearing a lot, our district's making this big push towards career pathways. The studies show that students who identify, the earlier a student can identify with a career they're interested in, the more successful they're going to be in high school. So what will happen is at the latest, your son or daughter will meet with the counselor in December to go over classes. One thing we're going to ask them is, what do you think you want to do? Okay? Believe it or not, most of your sons or daughters have an idea of what they want to do. Now, is it going to be the same now as it is when they're seniors? No. It's going to be the same now as when they're, in their 20s and 30s. Are they going to change majors in college? I don't know. Yeah, I can tell you personally, I didn't find out I wanted to be a counselor until I was 22 years old and I took an educational psychology class in college. I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I need to do. So it took me a little while to figure it out, right? But what'll happen is when they decide what they want to do, we'll make what's called a 4-year plan. Okay, if I'm your son or daughter's counselor, if Ms. Justin Yano is your son or daughter's counselor, we put our 4-year plans and credit checks online. The rest of the counselors, they do it with paper and pencil. Okay, but we keep track of are they meeting their graduation requirements and what classes should they take over the next 4 years. So after meeting with us, they'll have a general idea of these are the classes you should take over the next 4 years. It'll be mapped out for them. They won't have to think very much. Okay? Some kids, there'll be a couple of holes, but for the most part, they'll have most of their schedule planned. Now let's say we come to sophomore year and they're saying, oh, you know what? I wanted to be a doctor. Now I want to be a lawyer. That's fine. We change it and we find out what other classes are offered. One thing I'm going to suggest you guys do is go to, if you Google Career Pathways Booklet 214, the first PDF that pops up, you're going to see that book in the upper right-hand corner. That's our Career Pathways book. That's an awesome book because what that'll do, I recommend you save that link. You can print it out if you want. But what that's going to do is it's going to show you what our district has to offer to meet the needs of your student. So if they want to be a chemical engineer, that book will show them not only what classes, but it'll show them in the cluster what specific careers they look into. It'll show them what clubs we offer here. It'll show them what internship programs we offer here. It'll show them what they should consider majoring in college. So this book's pretty awesome. It's a good starting off point. I recommend you go to that link. You talk to your son or daughter, say, hey, if you had to pick right now, what would you do? Say, oh, I would be, you're going to get some, would be a professional athlete. Okay, great. I hope you are, but maybe let's have a backup plan, right? You know, I'm not sure the NBA is looking for a bunch of 5'9" centers, but you never know, right? So have that backup plan and then take a look at it and see, okay, you know what? If you're trying to get your son or daughter involved in a club, this is a great starting point. This is the career you're interested in. This is the club you should look into. You think you want to be a businessman? Why don't you check out that DECA club that I'm hearing so much about? Okay, you want to start your own business? Maybe this entrepreneurship is a good class for you when you get to be a junior or senior. Okay? There's also career nights. You'll get more information about those as they come up. I recommend you attend those as well. Any questions about the career pathways or the counselors or the core or anything like that? You guys are great. All right. Grades. Some of you might now be starting to look at grades because teachers are starting to put them in, and maybe you're starting to get worried. Hopefully you don't. But what do? Son or daughter's grades aren't up to par. What can I do? Here are all the resources. First off, like I said, everything starts with talking to their teacher. Okay, talk to their teacher. Teachers are here. Every teacher's here either before school or after school. Most are here both. Okay, but every teacher is here one or the other. So have your son or daughter find out when they're here. Literacy lab. Talked a little bit about that. What the literacy lab is, like I said, it's in the library. It's student run. It is, it's really great because you see it's mostly NHS students or students that are higher achieving. So they know what they're talking about. There are teachers there. So don't feel like your son or daughter's only, you know, they're going to be talking to another teenager. If they don't know what they're doing, that's it. You know, you can always talk to the teachers that are there. It's a great resource. Saturday school. Okay. I'm in charge of Saturday school, so I love Saturday school. What it is 5 times a semester, we have school. Okay. It's optional. It's from 8:30 to 11. Kids can come and go as they please. If they come at 8:30, they get all their work done by 9:30. See you later. Go home if you want. Okay. Some of the teachers should have maybe had information about this for you at open house. You'll get a kind of an email blast when the first one is. Basically, what it is we open up the library. We have teachers there that are tutoring. We have students there that are tutoring. It's free support. Okay. Talk to their counselor. Talk to their band mentor. Referred study hall, basically what that is, if your son or daughter has their study hall, it's in a large group. Referred study hall is smaller. Teachers check in. We have a teacher that checks in. It's kind of another set of eyes and ears. And then the hub at the Untitled Library, if a student has a 214 ID, they can go there. All of those resources are free. Okay? I never like recommending things that will cost you money. Okay? If you rip through all these resources and we can't figure out what's going on, if you want to explore a tutor on your own, that's up to you. Okay? Questions about this? All right. I like this video. It's going to not make sense for a second, but it will make sense. Okay? So just, I might turn it down if it's too loud. All right. Can anyone think about why I wanted to show that video? We had 2 videos going at once. Yeah. Okay. Close. So basically what it is, this video was 1.5 minutes long. Okay? In 1.5 minutes, the spaceship is about to enter outer space. World's largest airplane hasn't even gotten to its runway yet. Okay? They're both moving forward. Your son or daughter isn't always the spaceship. Your son or daughter might be a spaceship in one area and not the other. Okay? They're the airplane, that's fine. They're still moving forward. Okay? Not everyone is going to pick up everything quickly. Not everything is going to come as easy to your son or daughter as it used to. Okay? But they're moving forward. The other analogy I like to use, come on. Thank you. The other analogy I like to use is the hands. Everyone take your hands, good, so wake you up a little bit, and press them against each other as hard as you can. What are you accomplishing? Nothing. Your hands aren't moving, right? But are you trying? You're trying. Okay, you can relax. That's sore for me. That's the other thing you gotta remember. Just because your son or daughter maybe isn't showing the progress you'd like to see, doesn't mean they're not trying. Okay? We just gotta figure out what we need to do to help get them closer to the rocket ship. Sometimes we think that, our kids are being lazy or they're not trying hard. They might be trying as hard as they can. They might just be stuck. Okay? Or it might take them a little while to get off the ground. Or hopefully sometimes they're off the ground in a heartbeat. Okay? Something you got to remember. Whenever, you want to talk to your kids or you think, they're not trying their hardest, you want to kind of give them a little bit of grief for their performance or what they're doing, think about the hands, think about the spaceship. Or think about the plane. Okay? So one almost last thing I want to talk about. On average, by the age of 14, you have spent 140,000 hours with your son or daughter. On average this year, each of your son or daughter's teachers have spent 11 hours with your son or daughter if they haven't missed a day of school and the teacher hasn't. On average, by the end of this month, your son or daughter's counselor will have spent 1 hour with them. Okay? You guys are the experts on your kids. Okay? So help us. Let us know if there's something we can be doing. Okay? But also keep in mind that we've dealt with a lot of kids, so we have ideas. But we're not the experts on your son or daughter. We're not going to be seeing them as much as you. Okay? It's a big school. So keep that in mind. All right? Last thing I want to talk about is that our freshman core parent day is Tuesday, September 27th, 7:30 in the morning. If you can make it, that'd be great. That's one reason why I like to do this night is that I know 7:30 sometimes it's tough for us. Okay, we all have lives, we have jobs. There's gonna be a lot of important information there. If you can make it, if there's any way you could rearrange your schedule or take some, maybe an hour PTO time to go a little late to work, that would be awesome. Because you're going to see everything we're telling your son or daughter. I'm going to be up here at Mrs. Hamilton, and all the other counselors will be here, so you'll at least get to see them. Mr. Hartwood will be here. He's the associate principal in charge of student services. So that would be great if you can make it. Excuse me. If you can't, you can't. Any questions? Any pressing questions? Yeah.
It's really pressing, but for that core meeting, where do you park?
Where do you park? You could just, so this side of the school, okay, so you got that big gap where you could drive. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? In the middle of the parking lot. Do you like my pantomiming right now? It's really graceful. You got that big gap. If you're facing the school, parking on the left is staff parking. There, if you're facing the football field or soccer field, Parking towards the right is staff parking. So it's this area over here. That doesn't fill up all the time, okay? I can tell you, you're probably not gonna get close parking, but you should get a spot. Student parking will fill up quick, and then you'll be parking in the basement. So that's a good question. I recommend you park over here. If you have an electric car, you could pretend you're plugging in to charge it. That's what I do. Don't tell my boss, even though he's watching right now. Any other questions that you guys can think of? Yeah.
When, on Thursday mornings, what is there for them to do if they get here with the buses before classes?
So if they come early, they can wait in the main foyer. I think the cafeteria is open, so they can sit and do work. I do believe they can see a teacher, but they have to have a pass. Because this is like, it's kind of our contractual time to meet. But if they have a pass, they have to show the security guard, hey, I have a pass to go see so-and-so. So if they come here, they can do that, okay? Did everyone hear that? So she was asking on late starts, what do they do? And make sure you know when the orange late starts are, because those are an hour later than normal. So, all right. Question?
How long will that session be?
How long will this one be? Probably shorter than this one, to be honest with you. Probably about half hour. Okay, it's just going to be kind of these are the counselors. This is what we're going over. Like I said in the email, I hope I didn't come off rude, but like situations like this or situations like Thursday aren't the best time to come with, individualized questions because, we have the time to present to you, but then, we have other things we got to do. We have students we got to see. We have things we got to work on for other parts of the building, things like that, okay? So I recommend if you have individualized questions, meet with your counselor, set up a time to meet with your counselor one-on-one, okay? Just a reminder, like I said, please do fill out this feedback. If anything you did, if I talk too fast, if you didn't like my hair, because my boss hates my hair right now, this is too long. If you didn't like the time, if you thought this should have been earlier, any feedback you have, or if you thought it was great, okay? Any feedback you have, please do fill this out because I actually do look at this, and I've used this already to adjust the time to move this up in the year. So you can either remember that if you didn't grab a green sheet, if you grab it on your way out, on the bottom is going to be this website. Also is a link to rewatch this. Do I have anything else on this? No, that is the last slide. So before you leave, 3 binders, get your code for Schoology. And thank you guys for coming out. I know it's late. Have a great day.